We're back and we're talking about Zach, about why I decided to make him a nobody. Just to reiterate, I did not decide that. Zach decided it. He was acting too uppity. You see it in his demeanor, his personality, just the way that he acts towards everybody, not just Axel, but Axel in particular. You want to keep that in mind, how Zach interacts with Axel more than anyone else. But on the flip side, let's also concentrate specifically on what he's doing with everyone else now. He just seems too cheerful. And behind a cheerful face, in this story in particular, you know that there's a hidden problem. That the cheerfulness is masking something, because nobody is that happy in an apocalyptic world. Something's going on. As for what was going on with my thought process in Chapter 10, I didn't make it official until Chapter 11 in my thought process. I just went back and looked at my notes, and I didn't make it official until Chapter 11, but it wasn't really made known until Chapter 12. So Chapter 12 is when it was officially put into stone. But the clues leading up to Zach's hidden past as a nobody, and pretty much hidden present as a nobody, that didn't start officially until Chapter 10, when I was conceiving it, and then it really wasn't pounded into it until Chapter 11, and you didn't really know about it until Chapter 13 when it was officially announced, but you should have kind of picked up on it on Chapter 12, because
Conspiracy
Chapter 12...
theory, oh
Yeah,
god.
it's totally a conspiracy theory, but in Chapter 12, I end with, and Rogue, of course, doesn't know this, because he
No, I did
hasn't gotten
not.
that far,
Because I'm a chicken, that's why.
because you're a chicken, man. But in Chapter 12, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, so I might not have the entire quote down pat, but Zach says, "I was there that night. It was the night I died."
Dun dun dun. Wait, Zach died? Wait, what?
Yes, he died.
Dang it, I gotta read this. I gotta
You
read this.
have to read this, man.
God dang it.
He
This is all getting
died. That's
ruined.
how he's a nobody.
I don't want to read this book anymore.
He has no
I've been
heart.
spoiled.
He has no heart.
My spoilers have been too much.
But you don't find out that he's not alluding to being a zombie or something like that. You don't find that out until Chapter 13. But officially, official. It's not official. With my seal of approval that
I
Zach
see.
is a nobody until Chapter 12. It builds up to it, starting Chapter 10.
No one knows.
They should know. They've read this. Read it again. It's all there.
Well, I don't. God.
I think also to tie... Well, dude, you would know this if you read it, okay?
Hey,
Start
I just found this story at the end of July, so
I know.
I'm
But
making good progress for me.
You're making excellent progress for a chicken. Nobody's
I know.
disputing that.
I've been doing pre-cal and all this other stuff for all my classes, so
Chickens take
pretty
classes, people. They go to school, too. Stay in school. If the chicken's in school, you should be, too.
hey, listen to this, kids and boys and girls and chickens
And fangirls.
and fangirls. Yes, I'm sorry about that. I forgot about them. Completely forgot about them.
That's their
You go
main...
to school and you get an education. You lay smarter eggs, and that's what I am a motivation of doing it. So there you go. I have this cool education. My kids are gonna be smart. My chickens,
Listen to the
So
chicken.
unless they get eaten by a farmer named Joe.
Okay. Farmer Joe,
That,
yeah.
that guy is not very nice.
Yeah, okay. That's great and all, but I want to tie this back into Zach. I also want to extend on... I think people are missing a really important question. Why did Zach pick up Axel in Chapter 2? No questions asked, really. He just let it all slide. And this is what I mean by Zach chose it for himself. Here's the thing about my writing style. I don't have this story planned out. I don't have a master plan. I don't have a master sheet. An outline, as it were, telling me everything about my characters, everything about the plot, where we're going, what we're doing, what we're seeing, who we're fighting, what lessons we're learning, what kind of themes are in this. This story is writing itself. These characters are writing themselves. They're telling their own stories. This is the prime centerpiece of what it means to do extemporaneous writing. I was talking to somebody about this just after chapter 25 was written. One of my fans, we were exchanging private messages, and this has happened several times, not just with this one person. I've told this to several people. I haven't mentioned it in my author's notes, but this entire story is written spontaneously. It's all extemporaneous. This is all impromptu. I sit down, I write a chapter, and every chapter has very many drafts to it. I've mentioned this in several author's notes. The reason why it takes so long to update this story isn't because I'm lazy, isn't because I have writer's block, it isn't because I don't write as much as I used to write. It's not like it's on, off, on, off, on, off. I write as much as I've always written since I started this story. It's just every chapter has to go through a rigorous screening process before it gets my seal of approval. Every chapter you see published is drastically different from the original draft. We're talking dozens of drafts. We're not talking one or two, we're talking dozens. I have to make sure that I link the most recent chapter to clues that are said about in previous chapters. I have to make sure that it follows a logical flow. I have to make sure that all the characters are moving in a forward direction. I have to make sure that nothing is redundant. I have to make sure that there's a punch in every chapter. There's so many things that I have to check and recheck. I have to read and reread. Just to give an example, one of the most latest examples I can give, because I can't remember examples from older chapters, but in chapter 25, just to list an example, there is a scene when we cut over to Saz and Daj. They're running around the campus trying to find Andy, or any proof that Andy's either here or not there, any sign. Originally, it wasn't as dark as it is. My goal was always to make it dark, but the very first draft had the whole scene with Saz and Daj very lighthearted. I wanted to convey Saz's dilemma as being a single father who had just recently lost his wife to the Heartless attack, as trying to raise his son while simultaneously lending his efforts to the resistance movement. I wanted to show this careful balance between the two, the roles that Saz had to play. So what originally happened was, instead of Saz and Daj running for their lives, they were holding strong. They were holding fast against the Heartless, and Saz made a game out of it. He made a game out of shooting the Heartless to play teacher to his son. He was teaching his son mathematics. If I shoot 2 Heartless here, and there are 5 Heartless total, how many Heartless are left after I've shot 2 of them? He's trying to be a teacher to his son. And this was also twofold, because I was trying to desensitize Daj. I wanted Saz to desensitize him to a certain point where he could live comfortably in this apocalyptic world run by the Heartless and just steeped in darkness. It was to serve these purposes, but it was ultimately cut and rewritten because it was too lighthearted. It was too happy, and I didn't want to desensitize Daj to the point where he wouldn't be afraid of Darkseid. He fluctuates now. He fluctuates between having the illusion of safety and then having that illusion just torn down, which I think works better in the long run. But that's just to give you an idea of the kind of process that I go to. I write the chapter, and then I walk away for a bit, and then come back and ask myself, okay, does this fit with the theme? Does this flow nicely? Does it have evidence? Does it feed into the evidence that I've laid in previous chapters, that I've set there for people to follow and to make sense of? We have to cut this because I went over time, but those are questions to keep in mind.